Now, Belinda, you are a notable expert in project and change management. Tell me, how does that tie into productivity, personally and on the job?
Certainly. So when we think about project management, change management, our goal is we're trying to launch something. We're trying to create something new, trying to increase some revenue somehow, add new products or services to a business. But if the people that are doing the change and that are doing the project aren't productive, meaning that they are not producing as they go through, how good is that project? We know that projects traditionally fail. More projects fail than succeed. And a lot of it, go down to the root cause, comes down to the people. The people are not managing their time well. They're not putting their effort on the right pieces. Productivity is a huge piece of our success, both personally and professionally.
Why do you think people, I've suggested a lot of times, we put cameras in an office where I need productivity, right? In a call center and different places where where productivity equals profit. So where do you think that falls short? Why do people say, you know what, I'd rather be on my iPhone than doing my job?
Certainly because that's an extrinsic motivation, right? If it's a camera, I'm simply performing because that camera is watching me. Versus if it's an intrinsic motivation where it's like, I want to do this. Think of something that you love doing, right? A hobby you have.
Yep.
You don't look at the time. You don't go, oh, wow, I've spent a whole 15 minutes on this hobby, because you're enjoying it.
Right.
So when you can understand what motivates people individually, allow them to enjoy what they're doing by giving them the room to be productive, good at what they're doing, that's when you don't have to watch the people, because they're going to do it on their own.
So I know that you talk about, you work in the Fortune 500, work with several of those companies and organizations. You had an interesting story about a Fortune 500 CEO. Tell us a little bit about that. I know it happened early in your career, but talk us through that a little bit.
So
I mean, name names if you want, but go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know if I have my legal team is ready for the name
all right.
names.
We'll clear her of that. Okay. All right.
So I was a new director. I was the youngest director in this particular group. I was the only female.
Okay.
And
checking a lot of boxes.
I was checking all the boxes, man.
Okay.
And I went in with just the style of management I grew up with and what I knew. I was raised by parents who own their own business. So to me, I owe a company my loyalty. I owe them my productivity. So I went in, found inefficiencies, I fixed them, and I got a lot of work done. So I get called into this meeting.
Okay.
And it's the board, including the CEO. Won't name names, but he's a very respected name.
Okay.
Someone I respect
That limits
tremendously.
them, right? No,
I was going to say, right? So we narrowed the list down, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of how am I going to introduce myself to this man who's kind of my idol. And I walk up, and as I am about to spew my rehearsed introduction, he goes, oh, I know who you are. And I kind of, oh no, he already knows me.
Right, is this good or
this
bad?
This can't be good, right? And he goes, you get, can I swear?
Yeah, I mean, if you want.
All right, he says, you get shit done. And that's how he knew me, was that I got shit done.
Right.
And the person next to me who had been working very hard at climbing the corporate ladder was just like, oh. Like, first of all, we've never heard this man use profanity.
Right.
But secondly, that my reputation had preceded me in that way. And it was, I was the queen of what I call career limiting moves, CLMs. Where I'd push back on things that I didn't think were right or ethical for our customers. And I thought, man, my time here is going to be short.
Yeah, because that'll get you fired.
It'll get you fired.
If you're in the wrong organization, right? Yeah, for sure.
You push back and you want to do the ethical thing? Yeah, you're out of here.
Right.
And so for me, the fact that he recognized what I was contributing, he's like, you're the type of people who make our business a success. So that get shit done thing, that just stuck with me.
Well, you know what? I think, right, a lot of that is driven by, that's the nature of the organization. They say speed of the leader, speed of the team, right? So I think you were fortunate enough to work inside that organization. Now, a lot of times in this whole daily thing that we do, right, there's this word we love to use. It's this work-life balance word, right? It's used in corporate America. It's used in entrepreneurship. What is the idea of that? Because there's a lot of books, there's a lot of apps, people hear about work-life balance all the time. Talk to me a little bit about that and kind of how what you're doing with Get It Done comes at that differently?
Yeah, so I hear it all the time, work-life balance, and you've got to be balanced, and this is why we're unhealthy, and this is why we're stressed. And honestly, we're approaching it wrong because we're like, here's a planner, or here, use this new app.
Sure.
And so we're, again, coming at it extrinsically versus going, okay, well, what's the intrinsic motivation here? So in my book, Get It Done, what I'm looking at is how do we actually rewire our brains to want to be productive and to choose the right things to be productive at. Because just working, that means you're just busy. But are you doing the right things? And if the motivation is there and you understand why and you can select those things. So I go into a pretty deep dive on some neuropsychology about how do we get the right hormones going, break out of the adrenaline, the stress hormones, the cortisol, all those things that are kind of causing the anxiety, the depression.
Now, nobody's thinking, I mean, most people don't think about it that way,
they
right?
don't.
They think I'm a procrastinator. It's just, you ask yourself why. And that happens to me. Even, I'll have a deadline. I don't know. This is called something, right?
It is.
Where you have a deadline and you will not do anything up until that deadline. No, you'll get it done, but you won't do it.
Right.
And that's what you're talking about, where we really have to take the opportunity to get involved in what's going on in our minds.
Exactly. And so it's called, there's two things. There's student syndrome. Student syndrome, very real thing we put off to the deadline.
Okay.
It's also called Parkinson's law, where work will expand to fill the time allocated.
Okay.
And so one of my theories is that we should work in microbites. We work in small pieces. We get the win of the small piece versus looking at big, large projects.
Is that like chunking?
It is like chunking.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's kind of the same concept
I know
as
a few
swimming. Look
things,
at this. Look at this.
Okay,
I
good.
like that.
All right,
I
good.
like that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, break it down, get the small win and get those goals. And that way we're able to, like I say, we're giving ourselves that hit, that win of, hey, wow, I just accomplished this. Because what you talked about there is a self-fulfilling prophecy of, oh man, I never get through this. Oh, there's always things on my to-do list that I never get to. To-do lists are bad, by the way. Coming from someone who loves a to-do list. So here's why it's bad. When you write
we
down
want to know this.
Right?
This is just said something controversial.
Exactly. I did. I know. This is like a YouTube video viral moment right here. Because what happens in a to-do list, average business person going in on the day, Monday, they put about 20 things on their to-do list. Okay. On an average day, you might cross off maybe 3 or 4.
Okay.
Our brain works on comparisons. So what our brain does is it looks at that list and it's like, at first, like our executive brain, our neocortex goes, oh, yay, look, we crossed some things off. But the limbic system part of our brain and our brainstem goes, oh, system of comparison here, look at what you didn't do. And so there's this thing that happens in our brain, even though we think at a superficial level we did something great, our brain is sending us a completely different set of messages because it's saying, yeah, look at what you didn't do.
Interesting.
So I use a vault approach where I tell people, write down just the top 2 or 3 things you want to accomplish that day.
Most important.
Most important. Okay. Other things can go on a list, but they go in a vault. And the only way you get to open the vault is when you get those first couple things done. Then you can reach in the vault and you grab the next thing out.
So I'm putting myself in my to-do list in virtual jail?
You are. That's exactly what you're doing, Corey.
Okay. Understood. Well, I mean, listen, hearing you talk about these things, I think makes a lot of people realize that there's maybe more going on with them than because most people say, I can just stop doing something. I could fix this. If I wanted to get things done faster, I could, right? But it's not actually that simple.
No.
We're kind of lying to ourselves. If I hear what you're saying, we're lying to ourselves about that.
We are.
Now, the good news is I think what you're telling me and what you're telling our audience is Get It Done fixes that.
It certainly does.
Okay.
So the way I broke the book down is, like I say, using a behavioral science, a psychological approach to say, okay, what do we need to do to rewire our brain by creating new habits? And this isn't just make your bed every morning, which is a good thing to do, by the way, too. But it really does change the way you look at the work that you do, the amount of effort. Here's a little game I tell people to play. Let's say that, all right, you ready?
Tell me
so
more.
let's say these are our cell phones. And we're sitting here, we're just having a chat. And I start picking up my cell phone because I'm going to look at something's intriguing on there. I need to say to you, Corey, I'm sorry, but right now I'm prioritizing my phone over you.
That's the message you're saying.
That's what I'm going to say out loud to you.
Oh,
because all of a sudden you're going to feel horrible.
Yes.
And I am going to start to feel horrible because I am now doing that. My little granddaughter recently, she's so cute. I have this little food truck thing for her. She loves making food out of this food truck. So I'm busy in the kitchen, I'm cleaning up, and she comes over and she says, Gammy, come to the food truck. I make you a taco. And I took my own medicine and I said, Cadence, I can't right now. I'm going to prioritize cleaning my kitchen over spending time with you. It's like, hit to the heart.
Yes.
And it's like, no. So yes, I went and had play tacos for dinner, and we sat there for probably 2 hours at the food truck. But we do that all day during our day. And if we can challenge ourselves, well, why am I prioritizing this over that?
Right.
And when you actually say it out loud, it's really convicting.
I would have asked her if they were organic, non-GMO,
Vegetarian, vegan.
Yes, I would have asked those
Only
questions.
the best plastic for my granddaughter.
Yeah, you did the best. You probably did it better than I would have done it, right? I would have looked for health certification. She's certified-friendly and all
She
these
wasn't wearing her
things.
gloves, didn't wash her hands.
So, all right. So let's go back to the book for a second, right? Now, I can understand, because we talked a lot about personal examples, right? So why is this important for business leaders and organizations, not just the individuals?
It is critical to success. We are in unprecedented times right now with the pace of change and the volatility of our market. It's not like it has ever been. And our customers are not the same loyal as they were before. Loyalty is defined very differently now because they've got the Google, right? They can go out, they can look at the reviews, they can see all this. And if we're not staying on top of our innovation as an organization, our customers are going to leave.
People used to use the word satisfied, but it's not, you don't want satisfied customers, you need loyal.
You want loyal customers.
Right.
You want customers so loyal, they're going to tell their friends about it. You want raving fans out there. And so if your teams are not productive,
Right.
you're not going to have that innovation. So it really goes back to who's doing the work of your organization. And if they're not motivated and they're not productive, you're not going to be able to achieve those goals.
Who needs to read this book?
Everyone.
Oh, good answer. That's how you sell a lot of copies.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's how you become a bestseller. Honestly, I think anybody who has ever said the phrase, oh, if I only had more hours in the day, I'd be okay. Because there will never be more hours in the day. Like it's the most common thing I ask people, how can I help you with your productivity? Oh, easy. Give me more hours in the day.
Right.
And it's like, wow, if that's the statement, like there never will be. So if you're one of those people that says, I need more hours in the day, then you need to read this book.
Final question.
Yes.
Book is called Get It Done.
It is.
How do I get it?
You get it. There is an SH, by the way, on the cover, but we call that SH being silent.
Oh,
yeah, it's a
get
little. It is
that done. Okay, this has just gotten more interesting. Okay, perfect.
SH is silent.
Okay.
Yes, you can go to my website, belindagoodrich.com, and we will be doing some pre-releases coming up very soon.
Awesome. One thing, when someone was talking about, the use of profanity and these things, and the guy just said, what do you want from me? It was my parents. They didn't raise me right, right? So, but Belinda Goodrich, her new book, Get It Done, is going to be available on your website. What's the website again?
belindagoodrich.com.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today.
Corey, thank you.